Have you ever wondered why you can't stop eating mac and cheese? You know, it's not just comfort food, it's chemistry. I've hesitated to make this video because it's not going to make me popular, but it will provide you insight and information. You see, cheese actually contains compounds that light up your brain the same way opioids do. That's why one bite can turn into a whole pan. Here's the plot twist and what happened to our food. If you haven't watched my other videos about the addictive food business model, the same food industry that discovered this has been designing products to keep us hooked. Today I'll show you why cheese feels addictive and how it connects to the addictive food business model and how you can break the cycle in your own kitchen. I know, everything is better with cheese. Any recipe, like those bubbly casseroles that you top with cheese, anytime we see a picture of stringy cheese, it hooks our brain. Cheese contains casomorphins. These peptides are released when your body digests casein, the main protein in dairy. These compounds can bind to opioid receptors in your brain, triggering dopamine and that familiar of satisfaction. That's why we call it a comfort food. Scientists believe that this evolved to keep baby mammals nursing, but in adults it can create cravings that feel like addiction. And here's where it gets tricky. Food companies know this. The harder a cheese is aged or the more concentrated it becomes, think cheddar or Parmesan, the higher the casomorphin content and the harder it can be to stop at one slice. This is the same formula behind processed Franken cheeses, neon colored nacho cheese and shelf stable slices, the squeeze tube products. Those are engineered for maximum craveability. Yes, this is a term that the food industry uses, craveability. Now, imagine seeing those stretchy cheese slices. This is no accident. Tobacco giants like Philip Morris bought Kraft Foods and General Foods back in the 80s, and they literally applied the same addictive business model. Make it addictive, advertise it heavily, keep it affordable, put it everywhere, and hook customers young. Cheese is one of their strongest anchors. So if you've ever thought, oh, I love cheese, or everything with cheese is good, just add a little cheese to it. And if you've never considered giving it up, because I know my clients often say I could never give up cheese, well, you're not alone. And in my cooking classes, kids often joke, that cheese is the one thing that they could never quit. But here's the real question. Do we crave cheese itself, or are we craving the dopamine hit? Think about family meals, mac and cheese at every holiday, pizza nights on repeat. These aren't just traditions, they're conditioning. And when parents say it's just a little cheese, it won't hurt, I do remind them a little bit here, a little bit there adds up to a lot. Just think about your own week at home. Do you have pizza, Taco Tuesday? Are you making lasagna? How many times a week are you eating cheese? Because the truth is, addiction to processed foods isn't about willpower. It's about biology. Sugar, cheese, caffeine all activate the same reward loops. And kids are especially vulnerable because their brains don't have fully developed dopamine regulation. That's why Freedom Kitchen classes aren't just about the recipes, they're about leadership and really teaching these kids how to spot these addictions, the intended consequences of the processed food industry. When a 9-year-old tells me I don't eat chemicals anymore because they've broken free from that loop, that is empowerment. So why are my Freedom Kitchen classes dairy-free? Because in an attempt to set people free, I created cooking classes to remove the highly addictive ingredients and show them what the alternatives are. It may not be possible to cut cold turkey at home, especially when we have our favorite recipes on repeat. We might need to start with just a few recipes. So why do I create Freedom Kitchen classes predominantly dairy-free? Because Freedom Kitchen was established to set you free. And in order to set us free, We need to break free from the addictive food model. I teach recipes using alternatives and informing my students about this addictive food business model. It is possible to break free without feeling deprived. So the first thing is you don't have to go cold turkey or 100% dairy-free. Being predominantly dairy-free the majority of the time will do better for your health and possibly your budget if we just take a few recipes and we swap the dairy in those. We can learn to reacclimate our taste buds. We can use cashew cream or coconut milk or coconut cream. So in our butternut squash soup that we made in class, we used coconut milk or coconut cream. For cheesy, like when we did the broccoli cheddar soup, we did nutritional yeast for the cheesy flavor. A sprinkle of real salt will also help to balance the flavors. When they're part of making it, they stop asking, where's the cheese? Now, I'm not going to say the kids don't get excited when I bring cheese to class because I know, I see the addiction. But if I can show them an alternative, and especially the younger they are, the better, so that we can show them now before they get too addicted to cheese, we're giving them a superpower, and it puts the control back in their hands to decide whether or not they want to use cheese on everything or if they want to use a cheese alternative and keep something dairy-free. It's really difficult for all of us to fight this addiction. I love cheese. The adults I talk to love cheese. The kids love cheese. And even if I show them how to use nutritional yeast or coconut milk, it doesn't mean that they're not going to go home and put cheese on something or, in their soup. But I've planted a seed and I've planted it young so that now they know they have alternatives. Often when I am working with an adult with a health issue, we have to remove dairy at least for a period of time to reduce inflammation and then to assess if that is causing any issues for that person. And the first thing I hear is, I don't know how to get rid of dairy, or I don't know how to go gluten-free. I don't know how, because we are so conditioned with these foods and we are quite literally hooked. We are hooked on cheese. And I knew this wouldn't be a popular video, but the point of Freedom Kitchen is to set you free. Share this video with someone you know who is hooked on food. And if there's something that you want me to cover, leave me a comment below. I would love to hear from you.